So they screwed the engine thing up massively. That's the number one thing they screwed up. The car style themselves is better. The engine thing is what screwed everything. And that's why we're having meetings to discuss what the F we can do, because they know they screwed up. Viewership in Europe, Formula One's main base is down 50%.
Welcome to the Paddock F1 with Greeny and The Cheese. We're caffeinated, we're medicated. It's a podcast by fans for fans. Your dose of F1 news. All the races, all the tracks, and all the drama. Coming up on today's show.
Yes. Oh, you know that's how we have in the Paddock F1, Greeny and The Cheese. It's an off week still because we are in that spring break. We are caffeinated. We are medicated. Thank you very much for listening. Hit that subscribe and like button if you haven't done that yet. Or why the hell haven't you? Let's start with that. If you haven't, why the hell haven't you? Help us out here at the channel. Thanks for listening. In the news. Big news this week. Some pretty damn big news.
Big matzo ball.
We are caffeinated, we are medicated, and I am beyond caffeinated and medicated, so let's do this. How you doing?
It's a relaxing Sunday. We've, I think, made it over the winter hump here in the northeast of the U.S., at least
it's going to feel like June where I'm at, so.
It is getting nice, so relax, crack one open, or whatever floats your boat. I was up late last night watching the UFC, guys punching each other in the face. But whatever you got to do to keep yourself happy and keep yourself engaged. Hopefully it's with us here in the Paddock F1 with Greeny and The Cheese. Of course, if you want to reach out in the PaddockUSA@gmail.com and the PaddockUSA@gmail.com, you can always subscribe to the show. You can always donate to the show and drop a couple bucks if you want to help us out. Always appreciated, always helpful. We have a lot of bonus stuff coming up here because we are still on spring break. But before I give the calendar here, big news, Cheese. Let's get right into it. What the hell's going on with Red Bull?
I don't know. But it's the big news. If you haven't heard, Gianpiero or GP Lambiase, Max's race engineer and the chief racing officer pretty much for Red Bull. He's leaving the team at the end of his contract and will be joining McLaren no later than 2028 in the same basic role. He'll be reporting directly to team principal Andrea Stella. But that is huge. Because if you do recall, Max said if he ever left, he would probably leave Red Bull himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, when the news broke that GP was leaving and the whole McLaren thing, it was if he was like packing his bags and walking out the door like right that moment. Okay, it is not that. So let's take a step back let's take a step away from the rooftop, okay? And let's look at the bigger picture, all right? That Max Verstappen may be leaving Red Bull, but it might not be until after the 2027 season. Is that fair? Is that fair to say that we should take a step back, Max Verstappen fans?
To be honest, I don't really know. I mean, the guy is still pretty fired up about the new car, so if nothing changes with any rule changes they have coming up before we get to Miami and things continue, I mean, Max could easily walk away. I mean, he's got 4 world titles. I mean, the Red Bull's an absolute disaster. Both drivers hate the chassis. It's got a bad aero imbalance. It's 10 kilograms overweight. To put that in perspective as well, Cadillac, the new boys on the block, are only 6 to 7 kilograms overweight. That's to be expected out of a new team. For a team like Red Bull to be 10 kilograms overweight with their car, that is a disaster amongst itself. They do actually have the second best, power plant really compared to Mercedes on the grid, but the car itself is a disaster. I mean, their head of aero is pretty much under threat of his ass getting canned because it's such a mess. They're behind on facilities. Red Bull's been a mess. I mean, GP could have left actually going into this season. He was offered the team principal job at Aston Martin, and he turned that down. But we see what that fire shit show is there. So, I mean, he probably didn't want to
want to go there
I
either.
wouldn't, I wouldn't have wanted to join that either. Yeah, I wouldn't want to join that either. But the thing that's really just, he's leaving Red Bull for McLaren for, he's not getting like a promotion. He's getting like the same job that he has. But he's just he's getting the hell out of there. It's a mess. Maybe he knows something that Max is, going to leave anyway. I mean, if Red Bull doesn't produce a car that Max can contend for a title with, I think it's in the contract that he can leave Red Bull also. So it's a lot of matzo balls there.
There's whole matzo ball soup there. That's for damn sure. Listen, again, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Do it now if you haven't given us a appreciate every like and every follow is always very helpful. Listen, we're gonna have next week, because as this drought continues, we're gonna have a Quizmasters cockpit special. So for those of you who've listened all these years, and we appreciate you beyond belief, as we've had hundreds of new listeners over these last couple weeks here. So thank you all who've been joining us for years, and welcome to all the new listeners in the broadcast. So we'll be having a Quizmasters cockpit episode next week. Cheese is going to come up with the 10 toughest questions, or at least 10 questions, maybe from the history, going back in the library of all the 186 episodes of In the Paddock F1 with Greeny and The Cheese. And we'll have a little fun with that. We're going to have a Greeny Bucks episode. Maybe the Greeny Bucks fairy will give us a little gift for this painful spring break. And we are going to have working on now a live interactive episode with our friends over at sideline.fm. So if you haven't registered for an account there, sideline.fm, register for an account. We're going to be jumping on there in a couple weeks, do a little fun interactive show. A little more about that to come next week. But Cheese, back to the absolute disaster. I want to ask you this. 5.5 years in the making for these regs, and 3 races in, we have potentially massive changes. What is the catalyst for all this? I have my opinions, but I'm just asking you, where did F1 go wrong? Where did the smartest people in the room go so wrong in the last 5.5 years?
I mean, they got the engine thing way off. They blew that completely. That was one. I mean, the cars themselves seem to be, what F1's been missing for a while since we went to the heavier, brought the battery into the cars. I mean, personally, I think this era should have went back to a V8, V10 power plant itself. I mean, if you wanted the little battery, thing or something in there, that's fine. But I think it should have went back to the old to get the cars back sounding as they used to. I mean, the number one thing that fans miss on like every poll is the sound of an F1 car, that screaming sound. So the engine thing is absolutely a major thing. I mean, the drivers can't push the cars to the limit, which is what Formula One has always been about. The cars themselves are better because they're lighter, shorter, a little bit more nimble. I mean, the battery thing just kills it on the weight. I mean, that was always what made a Formula One car was the nimbleness and the handling of an F1 car. To bring back the screaming sound is another thing that F1 blew too. I think that was something that would have absolutely brought maybe even more people back into the sport just because of that itself. Going to too many of these like street circuit-esque tracks as well, and not going to actual racetracks, actual solid old school style racetracks. Some of these new tracks just don't have the quality of a lap of a track that you can have. It's like some old, like an Imola has. Yes, it's in a tough spot. This might not bring in as much cash, but you might not have all that cash coming in forever. So, you got to keep that nostalgia. Going to have Spa on a rotating schedule is going to make me want to vomit. Not going to Spa every year. I don't know what the F that decision was. That was absolutely freaking ridiculous. To take Spa off the yearly schedule is insane. Insane. Leaving a track like Barcelona, which is a great track for a Formula One car, and going to a street circuit in Madrid. I mean, no. I mean, you could have stayed at, I miss going back to France, not even Paul Ricard going back to Monaco. I mean, that was a solid racing track. Istanbul.
Triple F, you'd love that.
That corner is one of the greatest corners of Formula One history, dude. You know this. The videos. Find it on YouTube. Especially, I think it's like Weber's lap back when he got, I think it was a pole. I mean, they've left places like that to try for, more money, but it was to a basic street course, which is not Formula One. You got to go to a track. The guy's got to be able to push to the limit. So they screwed the engine thing up massively. That's the number one thing they screwed up. The car style themselves is better. The engine thing is what screwed everything. And that's why we're having meetings to discuss what the F we can do, because they know they screwed up. Viewership in Europe. Formula One's main base is down 50%. That is cash money. That's why they've hit the panic button.
You're 1,000% correct in a lot of it. Listen, we had, not to get overly technical, but, the MGUH engine really created, and again, to get overly technical, that disparagement, right? You're seeing it now with Red Bull, right? The junior team, because of the new engine, because of getting rid of the MGUH engine and shifting over to the 50-50 style engine that they are bringing, shows that the junior team is outpacing the senior team right now, because it's all about being able to bring in other teams. Cadillac, with the rules and regs from 8 years ago, would not be able to come in and compete. They would be so far behind for years. So these new engines allow new teams to be able to come in and start with a more even footing, which I know F1 loves and creates that more even playing field, but it's completely backfired. The idea was there, but the engineering was not. And to shift over to this new engine with, like I said, 5+ years, almost 6 years to prepare for it, and to completely have it fall flat on his face, and to not understand the power struggle that it's going to have down the straights or how it's going to impact to me is insane. Because it seems as if you're new to F1, it seems as if they just came up with these regulations a year ago, threw them out there, and let's go. But no, it's not what's going on. It's been years of development. And for it to fail after 3 races, I mean, after testing, as we know, the hidden testing in Spain, but we won't get into that. That's just where we are. It's an engine problem. It's Formula One getting incredibly greedy, trying to have a lower threshold to entice a Cadillac, to entice an Audi, to entice other teams to be able to say, you know what, you're not going to develop for 5-6 years on your own. You're going to be able to come in and compete almost instantaneously, at least mid-pack. And that didn't happen.
It's about development to get cars on the road. That's what every damn team goes into racing for anyway, because they develop stuff that ends up going into the road car. And they brought in, Audi came in, Honda came back, GM with Cadillac came in, Ford put in to come in with to help out with Red Bull. They came in because of the battery technology. They came in because of that development, but that has actually changed on the street now. Car development on the street is going away and going back to just, combustion engines again. So, I mean, there's been a switch already there. But the teams came into the sport because of that, to get the development for the battery technology to put into their street cars.
With that same logic, Honda in 2021 was pretty much ready to be done. So, so you have both sides of the coin, for sure. Listen, we can go back and forth about this all day, but the end result is
a shit show.
Someone took a jump on F1, and hopefully in Miami, of the worst possible track to have to come back from, racing around a parking lot now. I don't know. It's going to be a tough May.
I mean, we'll see if they come up with any changes. And I mean, some of the changes are, turning things down in a certain way so that, the drivers would have, the battery wouldn't drain as fast. The drivers would be able to push, the cars to the limit, but they're going to go 2 seconds plus a lap slower. So
it's all talk. Yeah, 2 seconds a lap slower they're talking about. Yeah, it's all talk until you get on the track, and until you get on the track in Miami. Decision yet.
These were things that were discussed in these meetings that nothing came out of, because it was all just, take some of these ideas and go back, and then come back in a week or two, and we'll try and come up with something to try and fix this absolute disaster mess we got.
Listen, we are 3 weeks from Miami. Like I said, we're going to be Quizmaster's Cockpit next week. We're going to have a little fun. Obviously, any news updates, we'll bring them to you next week. We'll do a Greeny Buck special episode on the 26th. We're going to do that live episode on the 25th. So fill your calendar going into Miami. Say what you got to say, brother.
See you guys next week. See how many questions Mike can get.
Hopefully I'm not slapping myself in the face. Then hopefully gas prices come down a little bit, but we will see. That's for damn sure. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.
In the paddock with Greeny and the Cheese. Coming live from the US of A. Podcast groove. The boys bring you the F1 news. with Greeny and the Cheese. And they know their way around the track. When you need the facts, you can trust them. They won't steer you wrong, always right on time. They know their way around a microphone. And it's alright, 'cause they do it right. In the paddock with Greeny and the Cheese.